Hello and welcome. Today's project is all about my old self, the mindset of my old self, the personality of my old self, how I used to act and behave when I used to suffer from anxiety. And I hope that this helps you understand yourself a little bit better and how you can get out of this catastrophizing, this oversensitization, and this depression that you're currently in, the hole that you seem to be in. Now, when I used to suffer from anxiety, I would walk around with a set mindset thinking, this is how it's always going to be. This is how the world is. Things will never change. I will never change. People are always out to get me. I will always suffer from these things. And that's that. I'll always be dependent. Well, I'm here to say that that's not how it can be. I overcame anxiety naturally through a structure. You can too. No dependencies on medications or, doctors or certain, drugs, alcohol, right? It's about how you can shift your patterns of behaviors and thinking and the different sacrifices you can make around you to make things 1% better every day. And if you do that every day, a year from now, you will be in a totally different place. The old Brad, I was very confined to a pattern and I felt unfulfilled. I would have this feeling of unfulfillment every day. I'd wake up, go to my job, smoke weed during my job and eat junk and come back late and do it all again. And there'd be this yearning, a longing, because I was in this conservative space and I was looking for more of a liberal personality, but I was getting the novelty of that liberalness from toxic patterns and behaviors. Now, in each of the behaviors I was engaging in, too many snakes would emerge from those behaviors. And how do you know something is toxic in your life? Well, there are too many negatives. Oh, that scared me. There were too many negatives to the behavior and not enough positives. So, for example, me who would smoke weed, there were too many negatives and positives. Yes, I would get the dopamine high from the coffee I was drinking, but there were too many negatives attached to it. And because the coffee or the sex or the porn or the reassurance seeking, yes, it gave me that comfort momentarily, but in the end, there were too many negatives. But that became my normal, the suffering and the dependencies. It was my regular pattern of behavior. And, well, I didn't know any way else to live, right? I didn't know that if I just sacrificed these things, I could feel something else. And that takes a great deal of courage to acknowledge a flaw within you, acknowledge that something isn't working and drop it, and then persist past that hangover period of not having it, the cognitive dissonance, and then emerging on the other side of that, a different way of being, the new lifestyle that is encapsulated within the new behavior. I couldn't see what I had when I was going to this job, when living at home, being with my ex-partner or having the friends that I have. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't be grateful for what I had because I was so unstable within me. My whole foundation was rocky, right? There were so many unresolved baggage, emotional baggage within me. I was engaging in too many toxic behaviors. My whole system was out of whack. I wasn't getting enough sleep. I was eating a lot of junk food. My diet wasn't structured. I was engaging in drugs, toxic relationships. And so I couldn't see or attend to the really important things around me, like friends and family and a healthy relationship or, And I felt unfulfilled because everything was so out of balance. I felt like I didn't have the body I wanted. I felt like I didn't have the career I wanted. And I would be so hypersensitive to the other people around me who are successful, who are pursuing their dreams, traveling, going, across the world and exploring new places, or getting that interesting job, or working out all the time. I would be so sensitive to these people, their success, their discipline, their work ethic. But then I would be like Cain in the Cain and Abel story. I would start to bubble this resentment, this bitterness towards these people. I would feel like, damn these people, for being so successful. Like, oh, that's, why work out? Don't work out. Like, what's the point? Or why even bother pursuing a job like that when you're going to get stuck in that 9-to-5 thing? I don't want any of that. And because I was suppressing all of my faults, all of my toxic behaviors and beliefs, I was staying in the domain of my set mindset. Because it's only when you start to break out of your conservative ways that you start to recognize and become more conscious of what you're doing every day that's not working, and then facing those flaws, contending with them, and then sacrificing what's not working so that the future you could succeed. And that's what Abel does in the Cain and Abel story. He's making the proper sacrifices to God, and then God favors him. He understands that constant sacrificing of the instant gratifications of the present makes the future Abel succeed and be better. And Cain doesn't do that. My old self didn't do that. I was holding on to all of these habits and dopaminergic stimuli because I believed that it was numbing me. I believed it was what's necessary to function and just to live in this world. Because all of my role models around me, like Kurt Cobain, for example, or like people on these shows on TV, the womanizers I looked up to, they got drunk all the time. They were living this flamboyant, free, dopaminergic lifestyle, who are getting attention from women and from other people, and who are getting the attention in negative ways. Like, they're getting drunk and causing trouble, and they're getting attention that way. And through my eyes, I saw that as a means to behave for me. That's how I get attention, by doing that. Okay, I'll try that. I'll even lie to people. I'll even, put on a fake persona for other people when I go out to the bar on those dates, just so I can get what I want, get the sex that I want, or the attention that I want, because that's what mattered to me. That was at the top of my values list. I was always seeking those things, and you are what you act out. You see what you aim at. I was seeing only those kinds of behaviors and those patterns because that's where I was focusing. And my unconscious was like, oh, this is what Brad values. So let's continue to do this because it means something. But in the end, like I said before, there were too many consequences to these habits. For instance, sex. Yes, it feels good. It feels fulfilling. It feels like a transcendent experience. But there are 5 snakes that come about from that, more than that, from that night of instant gratification. What are they? Well, the fear of pregnancy, the fear of getting an STD, the fear of emotional attachment, not getting enough sleep because you're spending all your night going on dates and going to the bar and drinking and getting that attention, and then you're drinking and then that's causing another snake to pop up because you don't feel good, or you're smoking weed and that makes you feel groggy in the morning, or you're waking up late and now that you got up late, now you don't know what to do with your day because you haven't planned out your day properly. All of these things start to come, all of these snakes, but you think, oh, that dopamine rush was worth all of those snakes. But in reality, it wasn't, because all of those snakes linger for so long afterwards, and it wasn't worth it. So be like Abel. Start sacrificing and burn off the parts of you that don't work so that the future you could feel good. Get into a proper sleep pattern, or sacrifice those toxic relationships, sacrifice going to the bar, sacrifice weed or caffeine or whatever. That's your choice. You have to define what's not working for you and then sacrifice those. And what's required for anxiety recovery is defining the toxic habits in your life, breaking the pattern, and replacing the artificial transcendent experience with a natural transcendent experience. But those natural transcendent experiences have longer lasting effects. It's only when you start to behave differently that you can say, wow, this is so important for me to have this. I feel so much better. It's like when I do the Wim Hof method, I do breathing exercise. I feel like, oh, wow, this is much needed for me. I feel so good, and all I did was breathe oxygen in my lungs. All I did was go out for a run, and I feel so good, and I feel elated. I eat a steak and some eggs, and I feel so energized and clear-minded rather than a bowl of cereal or some cookies and cakes and all of that junk, right? So I sacrifice the cake for the Brad tomorrow to feel and wake up and feel absolutely amazing. So what are you sacrificing? So that means you have to ask yourself, what things am I doing every day that I would like to stop doing, but I can't seem to stop? And that's where I'm going to leave you on today's video. Thank you so much for being here with me. Please leave a like, leave a comment below. What did you think? What are you currently working on? What are you battling? What have you overcame? And lastly, do not let anxiety define who you are. I will see you on the next video. Bye for now. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell so that whenever a new video of mine appears, you will be one of the first to know. Namaste.